Hello Aquarius, great to have you here. My name is Shauna. Today's reading is a general love forecast for November 2025. As always, take the messages that resonate and release anything that doesn't. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay connected with upcoming readings. Let's see what's headed your way, Aquarius. That this reading is structure is I'm going to relay messages for the next 2 weeks, and then we're going to wrap up the reading with lessons that we need to you have to retain these lessons. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about what's coming in for the two of you for you guys for the end of this month. First of all, I'm getting a very, very big love vibe here. So I feel like you have somebody in your life that's teaching you the proper way to do something, and the proper way to love, the proper way to behave, the proper way to communicate, and the proper way to, just be a bigger person. That's what it feels like to me. You're learning a lot from this person, and you're learning a lot about yourself, how you have handled disputes and confrontations and creative differences, and also differences in opinion in your past relationships. How have you handled it? Did you lash out? Did you argue just for argument's sake? Did you, leave your partner with mean words? So I feel like all of these things are kind of flashing back, okay? And you have somebody that's so loving and so considerate, and they're so patient. So they're sitting down with you, and they want to talk things out, and they want to, they're not like upset or, irrational about it. They're very calm, very collected, very rational when they're explaining themselves, when they talk to you. And you're just like, oh, I didn't realize, that's how you were feeling. I didn't realize. So I see you saying sorry, and you don't say it often, but I feel like this person, through their patience, they're able to explain to you in a way that makes sense to you. So whenever you guys get into an argument and you find yourself to be wrong, I feel like you get very, very embarrassed. And you might not, say the proper apology, or you might not give the other person credit where it's due. Because for you, an argument, it's about, who's right. It's about the idea, what the argument is about. It's not so much about that other person anymore. And that's why a lot of people have problems when they argue with air signs, because air signs don't really take it personally. They're trying to get at the truth. And so arguing with an air sign can be very frustrating, because air signs are very articulate, and they're usually very, very smart, and they don't really budge from their moral standpoint. And so other people, especially, water signs, earth signs, they might take it very personally, and they might think that, like, oh, you don't agree with me, you're against me, even fire signs. But I feel like for you guys, it's not so much about, who you're arguing against. It's you constantly wanting to prove a point, wanting to prove your point. But the problem is, I feel like some of these arguments that come in, it's not about, proving a point. It's more about, how did you make me feel when you did that? So it's an emotional plea to tell you, don't do this, do that, because I feel like this, I feel this small when you do these things. And so, which is, valid, because we can't really, we don't really have control over how the other person feels. But if they're telling you, don't do this, it hurts me, then you're going to have to stop, because you care about the other person. And so when they're breaking it down like this to you in a very, patient and non-confrontational, in a very heartfelt way, you're going to look at your actions, and you're going to feel a little bit ashamed. But you're also going to appreciate how calm and how loving and how, I want to say, rational they are when they're talking to you about these things, and they're allowing you to finally see, this is what you're doing. And so I feel like a lot of, you're going to come into major insights about relationships. What have I done in the past? And as well as relationship patterns. What have I done in the past that drove people away? What have I done in the past that I thought was normal, but the other person felt very belittled because of some of the things that you might have said, some of the things that you might have done, and so forth, okay? And it's not just a one-way street. I mean, it takes two people in every relationship to tangle. But I feel like you're starting to see things in a more compassionate manner. You're starting to see things from the other person's point of view. And I feel like it's forcing you to kind of like look at yourself in the mirror, look at yourself, look at your reflection, and really think about, okay, I'm going to try to be a better person. And so definitely self-improvement is in the works. The beginning of this month, I feel, was more about like self-improvement in things that are physical, such as, saving more money, keeping your house clean, exercising, keeping yourself, fit, eating right, making yourself healthier. But the second part of this month, the self-improvement is a lot more, it's more uncomfortable because it's more emotional, and that's not a realm that you're comfortable in. So there will be a lot of heartfelt conversations between you and other people, and especially loved ones, like people you care about, people that you actively choose to spend time with. I feel that it's coming in a way where there might be conflicts, I'm not going to lie, but I feel like the two of you will progress and become better people, okay? I'm feeling a heavy vibe here with, I feel a water sign. So this is a Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. Pisces does come to mind. I feel like there's going to be trips, travel, or some type of arrangement. I'll come to see you. Let's drive together to go to this venue. Let's go here, go there. I see you and this person kind of like, well, I see one person is like the driver and the other person is like a passenger, and having the time of your life, like going places. And it's going to be very, very exciting. You're going to see new things. You're going to have great conversations, music blaring. So I feel like it's going to be a very, very carefree type of interaction between you and this water sign here. I also have an earth sign, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, and I feel like in that relationship, it's like you want to give yourself, you want to give your love, you want to reach out, but for whatever reason, they're kind of MIA, they're dealing with their own things, and they're not really receptive, okay? So give them time. I mean, we can't really impose ourselves upon other people, and you're not going to do that. So I feel like, if you're waiting for that, just give them, and they're not going to be ready, and they'll come back to you at a later time. And then I also feel as well interactions with another air sign, so Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. It could be their sun, moon, or rising. I'm feeling as if there's an element here about conflict, disagreements, not seeing eye to eye. And I'm also feeling as well, you both will pull together and overcome this and, approach things from a higher vantage point. What are we really arguing over? Is it just technicalities? Or can we just, agree to disagree? Or can we just drop this topic because it's silly? So I feel like, out of love, out of the ability to, really care about your partner, you want to fix problems, you want to compromise, you want to make sure that the other person gets their way. So I feel like many of you let go, which is really good. I'm happy to see that for you. Great news coming in here from water sign. Okay, so great news. So like things that might really, really surprise you, like flowers, chocolates, perfume. I'm seeing wildflowers, chocolates, perfume, like gifts and trinkets. And then I'm also feeling as well like dinners, just a very romantic ambience. And I feel like it's a love relationship, okay? Towards the very tail end of this month, I feel like you're jumping ahead into, like you're excitedly jumping ahead into something. And then there's a little bit of a stall. So I feel like you're waiting on decisions from other people again, waiting on, feedback, communication from a higher up, like a boss. So if you, for example, have decided about, doing something drastic, new way of working, new way of reinventing yourself, new ways of whatever it is, I feel like some of you might ask to finalize some vacation days, and then you have to wait. So that's going to be frustrating. You're waiting for an authority figure to give you the green light. And then for others, it could be new work. Others, it could be new projects. Others, it could be like speaking engagement too, travel especially. So I feel like everything is all, very rosy. And then towards like the end of the year, then there's a wait, and that's going to be very frustrating. Just, it's like a very, very minor aspect coming out. So I feel like you're excitedly going through the day, trying to get things done, trying to get things prepared. And then the waiting hits, and it's just like, to me, it seems like, it doesn't feel to me like, things flatline. It just feels like, oh, it's another wait. Okay, surprise. So I'm sensing that you're going to wrap up this year in a very, very jovial, loving, compassionate, and very happy, elated state. And I feel like it's because of a love relationship, someone who's very, very thoughtful, and they put you, front and center, okay? And I'm also feeling as well, if you are in a relationship here, water signs, it looks really, really good. It looks very romantic. It looks very nurturing and caring. The last thing, one last thing. Be careful when driving, okay? Be careful when driving. Take care of your vehicle, and also don't move so fast. Don't get distracted. Don't be on your phone when you're trying to drive. Make sure you're not intoxicated, and make sure that you have an idea, like mapped out where you're going, okay? I feel like it's compassion. It's compassion. And the way that this is playing out is because I have a lot of water cards on the table. What it indicates to me is, really thinking about like, I'm feeling for many of you, you guys are very hard on yourself. I'm almost getting like this Virgoan energy where you guys are tough on yourself. When you do something, you want it a very, very specific way. You want it done right. And so when people fail to deliver, it makes you really, really frustrated. It gets under your skin. When people talk big and they don't really deliver, I feel like it really sets you off. That's one of the major pet peeves I feel with Aquarius. And especially it on them, or that's when you're going to look at them and you're going to make all these judgments about them. And a lot of the times that can also put you in a position where you think like they're less than, okay? And then you treat them differently, right? And so I feel like compassion does come to mind very strongly as the major theme, major lesson that we need to kind of cultivate, okay? And compassion is also not just directed towards other people, but it should also, it needs to start from within us. We need to be compassionate and loving and giving of ourselves. We need to, not be so hard on ourselves. We need to not beat ourselves up over every little thing that we think we've done wrong. And so start with that first within yourself so that you can forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for, repeatedly letting somebody coming back into your life that didn't deserve you, okay? That didn't deserve it. And then I feel as well, forgiving yourself for, I shouldn't have said that, I shouldn't have done that to that person. Forgiving yourself. And, reach out with an apology and move on. So don't get stuck in that, cesspool. And I also feel as well, forgiving yourself and really looking in the mirror and think about what are some really good qualities about me? What do people like about me? You have great leadership capability. And that's one thing I feel, listen to what you have to say. So you have great leadership capabilities. I also feel as well, compassion basically as well. When somebody doesn't agree with us, okay? And, in this day and age, people have all kinds of opinions about all kinds of things. And if people don't agree with us, we can just say, okay, let's agree to disagree and then move on. It doesn't make them a bad person. Even though sometimes you feel like, you don't agree with me on this one fundamental things that everybody knows to be true. And then you look at them kind of like, oh, I don't want to, I don't think that's a human. But being compassionate also means, taking the good with the bad, okay? Accepting that we all have flaws, that we're not perfect, that we're all susceptible to bad thoughts, lapses in judgment, and making bad decisions, okay? So just, accepting the other person, not enabling them, but just accepting that's where they are and that they have some room that they need to grow into, okay? And accepting it at that. So it's going to make life so much easier for you, Aquarius, if you just, accept things at face value. Don't read too much in between the line. Don't overthink, and don't give people, judgments, okay? So I feel that's really, really crucial moving forward. You are very accepting of other people, but I do feel like sometimes when people don't agree with you, and especially if it's something that is very, very, that you believe to be universal truth, and they don't agree with you, it can lead to a lot of conflict. So in order to alleviate all that, in order to not waste time with these mindless conflicts, because they're going to believe what they're going to believe, we just need to release and relax and just, take it at face value. That's where they are. They're going to grow into it. And so you can just, happily move on. I mentioned this for Sagittarius, but I feel like, needing to take care of people around you. Okay. So people who love you, people that need you, children, animals, elderly parents, people that need you, make the time for them. Don't tell them, oh, I'm doing this, I'll get back to you, and then you forget because you constantly have a lot of things that are on your mind.